Well, good morning, good afternoon and good evening to you wherever you may be on this wonderful planet that we live on. Today, just short, I got some things. I was just coming from out of the yard. You can see my worn out Don't Give Up t-shirt. But just really quick, do the thing that everyone wants you to do. I know it's a pain in the ass to ask it, but it's really good if you did do that on the bottom, push the button. Turn it off if you don't like it at the end. But just do that as soon as you get on, and do that for all the people you subscribe to, because that's good for them as well. Anyway, today I just wanted to talk briefly, if you can believe that, about a few simple things, and it's all about. I won't give it. I'll just cut into it. Right, I was out there working in the yard and remembered as a kid, right, a long time ago. Well, it wasn't a long time ago in some instances, but it was a while ago. And I had warts, and I remember, and tell me if you had anything different about this sort of thing, but I had warts all over my hand, to the point where everyone called me, or my brother in particular called me Daywart. Not David, which is obviously my name, but he called me Daywart because he was an arsehole. But I love him to death, and that's just what older brothers do. So they were all over my hands, like all over. They were, fingers, inside wedges in here, and all over fingertips, like they were everywhere. And I was forever touching them because, they're warts, so they're not normal. You just touch them. And I went to doctors, got some cut out, got some frozen. We got the that thing that I think they still sell now, which I don't know for sure, called Wart Kill, which I'm sure everyone's seen and been part of, or used if you've had a wart. Now, warts, obviously, there's 4 different places they generally associate. That I know of, like hands, maybe 3. Hands and feet, face and other bits. And they all respond differently to different treatments. But the ones that I had were all on my hands, and I was lucky not to have them anywhere else. So I couldn't get rid of them. Like, for all of the money in the world, to my mind, I couldn't get rid of them. My mother, being ahead of her time, she said to me one day, "Tell you what, David, I'll buy those warts off you." I went, "Buy them off me?" She said, "Yeah, I'll give you 10 cents a wart." Now, in those days, 10 cents was a lot of money. You'd get 10 cents bag of lollies, of mixed lollies, and keep you going for the whole afternoon. So 10 cents then was a lot of money. So I guess I got about, because I had a fair few, we counted them up, Mum and I think I had maybe 25 warts. So she gives me, see that? That's a dog. That was my guard dog. Poodle. God love it. Standard poodle, so it's not a little baby one, it's a big one. But anyway, getting back, she bought my warts off me. And as part of the condition of the sale, like I had $2.50 in my hand, which is then, like I'm talking about, it was a lot of money, right? So I said, "Okay, so what's the condition of sale?" She said, "Because they're mine, you're not allowed to touch them." And I go, "I beg your pardon?" She goes, "Because I said they're on my hands. I'm going to touch them. I'm going to feel them all the time." And she said, "No, that feeling them's different. So you can feel the warts on your hands when you pick things up and that sort of stuff, but you're not allowed to touch the wart." I physically wasn't allowed to grab my other hand and touch any wart on my hands. And every time I did, I would be scolded and told off for touching stuff that wasn't mine to touch. So I went, okay, and this went on for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And then Mum said, "How are my warts going?" And I looked at them and they were gone. Like, they were all gone. Not a trace of one. And I'm talking about, it would seem to me now as an adult, years of trying to get rid of my warts. In a matter of 2 months, they were gone. And because they weren't mine to grab hold of anymore. So they just left me. I know it's a condition or a virus or a I don't even know what a wart would be. I should have done the research before coming on, but I think it's a fungus or something that gets into your skin. And anyway, whatever a wart is, 2 months, less than 2 months, they were almost all gone. And I thought, wow, how cool is that? As I got older, I was probably then in my I was 17, maybe 18. I started to get some pimples, like some acne. And I think where this is coming from is I got this beauty on the side of my nose here. It's like a bloody awesome one. Anywho, and it's And I used to always say, as an older person looking at people with pimples, and go, only young people have pimples. So because I got this one here, that suggests that I'm young. Yeah, you'd agree with that. So anyway, so after the wart incident, I was about 17 or 18. I got pimples. I luckily didn't get a lot on my face. Like, I got a few of them. I got them mainly on my shoulders and a few on my chest. And for years I went through. I actually think I went to a dermatologist, Dad, Mum, because I was feeling bad about it, a little bit depressed, or not depressed because I don't believe in that, feeling a little bit sad by the fact that all my friends didn't have them and I did, and I didn't have a girlfriend but they did, and believe me guys, pimples wasn't a reason I didn't have a girlfriend, I was just a dick. But I thought, well, you know, I'll go and see someone about it, and I got medication that turned them into cystic pimples, which were worse than the other pimples, so I dropped the medication. Again, here's proof that medication is shit. And then I was about, I don't know, 25, because this seemed to go on for a long time. I'd actually change in the dojo when I trained with my back to the wall so no one saw the pimples on my shoulders. You know, that's how mind screwed I was with this. And about 25, 26, I hopped in the car with my brother, went across the other side of the country, and walking around Fremantle, I thought, you know, bugger it, I'm going to take my shirt off. And, you know, believe it or not, no one stared at me, and no one laughed at me, and no one said, look at his pimples. And again, like without a word of a lie, I went back to training and I didn't give a shit anymore. I didn't care about my pimples. I just trained, and I took my shirt off and I faced the wall, so my back was exposed to everybody. And again, may all the gods known to all the mans ever in society strike me dead right now, within 6 months, gone. Like, they were gone. Like, of course, every now and then you get a little one, and the blackheads were gone, the pimples were gone. And I'm going, you know, there's a huge power in the way you perceive these things to be. Like, in my perception of my warts, where it's ugly, it's horrible, everybody's judging me, no one's going to like me because I've got these warts, I won't want to do anything, hold my hand, yada yada. And then when I didn't own them anymore, my mother bought them, they were gone. No reason to think that no one would have anything to do with me anymore. Same thing happened with the pimples, right? 6 months. I had girlfriends. Like, I had girlfriends who didn't give a care about the pimples. I did, psychologically, so they stayed with me. So then, as I say, 25, 26, gone within 6 months. Never really had a problem with them ever since. Few leftover scars on the shoulders, but not enough for me to worry about taking my shirt off, you know. And I learned at that point that I actually don't give a shit. Right, which is sort of leading into where I'm going with this at the moment. The conversation in my heart when I was outside working was, you know, death. And why is death, why do we perceive death the way we perceive it? My mother died when I was 60, when she was 63, so I felt ripped off. But it was a wonderful experience, and one day I'll share that with you all, and what happened to me in that, and how spiritually it awoke me. And then my daughter was born, which was another incident that woke me into this different mindset. And then my father passed, and that was another one. Just unbelievable spiritual life experiences that no one else will experience because they were mine and mine alone. And I'm not going to tell, I'll tell you guys, and I'll tell anyone who wants to know, but they won't understand it because they didn't live the experience. Anywho, back to death, right? So my stepmother, my father's wife, he married her in I've got to say 79 or 80. So she's 97 this year in May. Still going and still not doing very well. She's in bed a lot more now and sleeping almost all the time. And occasionally she's aware of, actually no, that's not true. She's not aware of anything. She'll greet people and say hello because that's, you know, the nature of the beast. But she doesn't remember anything, and I'm a nothing to her, and I'm the only one who sees her. So, as in family, because no one else seems to give a shit. Which is really sad, very disappointing, but I know they'll come out of the woodworks when she passes because people are greedy. But she said to me a couple of months ago, 6 months ago, yeah, probably 6 months ago, when she was still at that stage where she'd have some consciousness or lucidity in the day, she said to me, David, I don't know where I'm going next. I said, what do you mean by that? She said, I just don't know where I'm going next. And similar to my mum's experience when her passing, and not saying that my stepmother's passing, but she said something that made me think about that and where is she going next? All I could say to her is it's going to be a fantastic place. You're going to go and Dad's going to be there and all your friends are going to be there that aren't with you now, and you're going to feel so good. It's going to be absolutely wonderful for you and you should be looking forward to it, which is all I could say to her. But it put me into this mindset of, well, why is she still here? And I don't mean this to be mercenary or uncaring, but she has a zero quality of life. The medication now, we've got to the stage where if she says I don't want medication, they're not going to give it to her. If they say, she says I don't want breakfast, they won't feed her. They're dropped all of her depression medication and her heart medication. They're not giving it to her anymore. They're preparing her for, they call it palliative care, which is not quite end of life, but it's, there's no coming back from this. So not doing anything for her. And my question is, why is she still hanging on? And all I can relate it to is, when she was young, she's Irish, so when she was young she was brought up very strict Irish Catholic and practiced her religion of being Irish Catholic. And then as she got older, she did things that weren't true to the Irish Catholic philosophy. She was far from a good Catholic, and she was a good person, but she did things that the Catholic Church, the Irish Catholic Church, would have frowned upon and would have been a certainty for her to go to hell. So I see it in her face when I'm looking at her. She looks around and she goes, I don't know where I'm going. Where am I going next? I don't know where I'm going. And all I can think of is, she's torn at this stage of her life. She's gone back to her Irish Catholic youth and she's afraid she's going to hell. And she's holding on for dear life. And I guess that someone said to me this morning about it too, if there was a God, why would the God allow children to die? And I can say this from a place in my caravan to the computer, because I have never experienced the death of a young child. But the philosophy that you can adapt, as far as I'm concerned with that, is that child came here for a specific reason, and that specific reason was not to die young, but it was to be a wonderful child to parents that maybe needed to learn something. It was giving those parents an opportunity to come to terms with a facet in their life that they would never grab hold of. So when I thought of this when my mum passed, and I thought all these different things that changed my mind about death itself, I started to see the young dying, and as tragic as it is, the stillborn babies, the children that die in the womb of miscarriages and all those sorts of things. They're a tragedy for the person who's carrying the child. There may not be a tragedy for the nurse who delivers it, or for the doctor who's there, or the midwife, or potentially even the husband or partner. They don't perceive it the same way. So if they see it as a tragedy, well, it's going to be a tragedy. If you take that and turn it into like a different thing and make it so, what's my opportunity here? What is it I have to grasp from this? And that doesn't mean for a moment you stop mourning or grieving for the loss of that child, but it does bring into perspective of what is in this for me. Is this the opportunity for me to let go of something? Like, I've maybe never let go of things in my life, and now I have to learn to let go. That doesn't mean ever, please don't get me wrong in this, that if you have had that opportunity, I say opportunity, I mean it, to have lost a loved one, a child in particular, it's an opportunity for you to do something with this. So death is a transitional place. It's a thing that you go through. I'm not afraid of dying, like not even a little bit. I don't want to. I don't believe it's time at all now for me to go. I've got too much to do, and children and grandchildren that I want to be part of their life. But the reality is, if it happened to me, I'm okay. Like, I've done most things. Like, I've lived past the age that most people do their things. Like, I think that's around about 40. And if you can get to 40 in your life and you've done you've done more than just been an employee, and you've done work, you've had a business, you've travelled, you've trained, you've done all these sorts of things, you've had a child, and you go, well, you know, I want grandchildren. Well, you don't need to have grandchildren. That would just be nice. Oh, now I'm holding on to my grandchildren. I can't wait till they have, so I'm a great-grandparent. So I go, that's the sort of stuff that keeps you trapped in this mindset of life, and therefore then grieving for the lost ones. So I reached 40, probably a little bit earlier, maybe a bit later, I can't remember. And I went, you know, I'm good. I'm actually good. If something happened to me today, I'd go, yeah, you know, again, don't welcome it, don't want it, not ready. But if it happened, you go, okay, it is the way that it is. And I tell my wife often, and my daughter, if you grieve for me for too long, when I pass, I'm going to come back and haunt you for the rest of your life. You are losing the opportunity for your life by grieving. I could still grieve my mother because I loved her to death, and could still grieve my father. But I'm not going to. I would disrespect them by grieving them for what I would deem a certain amount of time. And I think that's what's stopping us from allowing ourselves to grow in this transition. The Vikings would say, and the American Indians would say, and a lot of indigenous people would say, and my God, even the Klingons on the starboard bow, they would say, today is a good day to die. And everyone would celebrate that with them. Not mourn it. That doesn't mean you don't miss the person that passes. It means you go, they've had a good life. They've lived their life. It's time to move on. My mum was like that. My dad was like that. I've had friends die, and I was like that with them. I'll tell you quickly, I had a friend who was in the army. He had leukemia, and he was short. No, it wasn't really. He was about 5'7", I guess, 5'8". So for me, that's short. And he was round. And when he went into the final stages of life, he shaved his head, sitting there with a towel across his lap. He looked like little Buddha. So that's what I called him after that. I called him Buddha. And when he passed, I went to my girlfriend's place, and I was in tears. And I went up the stairs, because Andy was just like one of those examples I was saying before about a absolutely wonderful human being. A human being that didn't deserve leukemia and needed to be around for everybody else. To the point that about an hour before he passed, he was talking to the cancer kids in the hospital in Perth and giving them, come on, let's get motivated, you've got to strive and push this forward, keep going, keep going. I think inside he knew he was going. 5 minutes before he passed, he asked his mum to go and find a magazine down in the at the waiting room, not at the first one, but the one a little bit further down. And she said, yeah, no worries, I'll go and get it. And when she came back, he passed in the time that she wasn't there, because he did never want his mother to see him die. As in literally, awake and then dead. So this man shouldn't have died, but he did. And the lesson he gave me was when I went around to my girlfriend's place crying, and I walked up the stairs. I said, Nikki, my best friend's died. And I got halfway up the stairs, and I literally felt a kick in the arse. And it lifted me to the point where the people downstairs said, are you all right? And I said, what happened? I said, I don't know what just happened. But then I heard Andy's voice saying, he said, mate, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know better than this. And I snapped out of it instantly. Missed him for months and months and months after that. Then I saw him in the coffin, which is a horrible thing to see people in a coffin. And I went back into a wave, and then I just remembered him saying, what are you doing, mate? And this is where the death thing comes into it, and the transition from life to death. If you are not afraid of it, then you can embrace it for yourself, then you are not afraid of it for other people either. Doesn't mean you'll not miss the people when they pass. Please don't, again, I say this, I don't mean for you not to miss them. But I think we need to embrace the journey that they were on, and to understand that it isn't ours. The journey that they are on is over, and the journey is then ready for them to move forward. And we honour them by not holding on to them as a ball and chain for our life, because that's disrespectful in my mind. And please, if you want to do that, I'm not suggesting that I want you to be me, because that'd be bloody horrible. But I think if you just look at it from a perspective of, Like my stepmum, 97, I said to the doctor when I saw her last week, I said, it's time. It's time. This poor lady, she's got no quality. It's time for her to be let go of. And so we both agreed to stop the medication. So, doctor's advice, I supported it because at her age, I'd love her to get to 100. But the reality is, she's not with it. She's not with us anymore. So, we've got to do what we can to allow her to have that transition to a wonderful and a better place for her. And whatever you conceive that to be, it doesn't matter. You might think it's a beautiful beach in the Bahamas sinking pina coladas, or you could think it's on the clouds with a mystical beard and with a long, big long beard, long white hair, robe, playing a harp. If that's what you want, look, go for it. If you believe that you're going to die and go to a library and pick another life and come back, then do that as well. If you want to take the concept that when you pass, you move into an astral plane that allows you to maybe go to another level so you don't have to come back to this dimension, then that's good too. Like, there's nothing wrong. All of it is right. Like, all of it is accurate. If you want to believe in the monad, you want to believe in our supervisor God, not the real God, but the one in charge of this little planet that we live on, then you believe that too, then that's absolutely fine. But it's the movement from the physical to that existence that we hold on to far too much. Start today practicing letting go. Let go of something that you've held on to for the last 5 years. A thought, an idea, an ideology, okay, step it back. They're all hard. They're all hard to let go of because they get ingrained in our brain. Go through your cupboard. Find a shirt, a pair of pants, a dress, a pair of shoes that you haven't worn for 5 years, and put it in a bag and take it to your local charity shop and donate it to someone who's going to wear it tomorrow. Because you won't, and you bloody know you won't. So you're holding on to stuff. All the stuff you hold on to becomes a ball and chain that you drag with you from one place to the next. So the same comes with ideologies, with beliefs, mindsets, all those things that you hold on to that stop you. It becomes your ball and chain from this existence to the next. And that, again, please, that doesn't mean I want you to go and do something stupid. All that means is you're okay when it happens. And hopefully for all of you, it's not until you're 100. So long as you're competent and capable and able to live to that age. My wife and I are setting a criteria of 5 things. When those 5 things are met, needle. I want to go to sleep. I don't know what they are yet. We've got to determine what they are. But one of them is definitely, if I don't know who I am, if I'm wetting the bed, or I'm 100% reliant on a machine, there are at least 3 of them, and 2 other ones. One of them's not enough. 2 of them's not enough. Maybe I'll bring it to 3. But the 3 conditions, once they're met, I want a needle. I don't want to be around. I just think it's cruel for my family to keep me going. It's cruel for everybody else. So, getting to anxiety, which I think is a lot of reasons why people hold on to this, and why I think my stepmother holds on to it. She's extremely anxious, which is why she was on antidepressant medication, because she doesn't know what's next. And it doesn't matter what's next, guys. It's just something different to hear. It's just something different to hear. Atheists, all of them. I don't believe any atheist in the world hasn't at some place said, even in jest, God give me strength. Or even when they've dropped something on their foot, they go, Jesus Christ. So they can say whatever they like. They still acknowledge that there's something there. So even an atheist, they believe in something. Because you can't believe in nothing. Because you just can't. So simply by believing in God suggests you believe in something. So you have a belief. And you can't believe in nothing. I don't believe you can believe in nothing. Because how can you believe in nothing? I don't get that. So there is something for everybody. Whatever it may be. 8.5, 9 billion people in the world. There could be 8.5, 9 billion different heavens. There is no hell. I don't believe in that. But there's different opportunities for all of us. So please let's take that, eh? So that's a bit serious one today. So sorry about that. But anyhow, I was thinking while I was working, I'm going to go back to work and do some more thinking. But I'd like you to put some thought into that as well. What are you holding on to that you don't need to hold on to? Remembering that what you hold on to becomes a ball and chain for you in all ways of your life. Your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual. Your body, your mind, and your spirit are anything you hold on to that's a ball and chain to any three of those drags the others down with it. So let things go. Challenge 1, get rid of some clothes. Challenge 2, drop an ideology that you don't want anymore. You know doesn't work. You just know it doesn't work. Challenge 3, do something completely new that you've never thought of, or you have thought of, been too afraid to do. Learn to let go of the stuff that you've been holding on to your whole life and do new things, because that's what it's all about. Anyhow, remember this. And of course, peace, love and mung beans. Until I'm talking at you next, have a really awesome time. Enjoy your journey.